Excuse me. Welcome to South Asia. This is REddy, your facilitator. Today we are going to discuss about Burhanpur district or historic Khandwa district or Nimad district in the Nimad region, southern part of Madhya Pradesh bordering the Khandesh territory and Berar territory and Vidarbha region, that is the northern part of Maharashtra. Historically, the Burhanpur district I have shown here was a part of Khandwa district. Burhanpur is considered as a gateway to India, South India, gateway to Dakshina Bharat, gateway to Deccan. That is the historic gateway in the medieval times. And this is what we are going to cover. Khandwa district, Burhanpur district, gateway to Deccan on the Tapati river. As usual at South Asia in maps, we are not just going to show the like a district and areas and so on. We'll be covering much more than that. So we'll be bringing the entire cultural aspect of the district, and after completion of this presentation we'll have a very good outlook of what has happened and that historical region of Bharat for the first couple of centuries. Originally there was no Burhanpur town. The historic city at that area or fort where the rulers ruled in the medieval time called Asirgarh Fort. It was built by a Hindu ruler called King Asha Ahir. Ahirs are a type of people who historically came from herding the farm animals, Ahirs and Gujars and so on. King Asha Ahir built the fort and it was named eventually after him Ahirgarh Asirgarh. Then we'll talk about the introduction of Islamic imperialism by the Turkish army at Delhi and the prominent sourcemen of Islamic imperialism in Bharat, Khiljis and Tughlaqs. And once the sourcemen introduced it, and they need to maintain it by selling to the innocent people, so they patronized the salesmen of Islam. The sourcemen of Islam, Khiljis and Tughlaqs, the sourcemen of Islam, so-called the priests and all those things, mashaykhs, and they called in their theology saints, and they entered into Deccan along with the army of the Islamic invaders. Their headquarters was at Devagiri Fort in South India. That they named is Daulatabad. That was historically Yadava dynasty's capital, overlooking the Ajanta mountain range in the today's Marathwada region, that is Aurangabad district. Prominent salesmen were Nizamuddin Aliya and his disciple Burhanuddin, who died in 1344, on whose name the city was built, Burhanpur, on the suggestion of one of his disciple and salesmen, Jainuddin Siraji. The term itself says he claims he came from Siraj, that is excuse me, in the Zagros mountains of Persia or Iran, southern part of Iran, south of Isfahan, the Shiraj. There is an important Muslim dynasty that broke from the central dynasty and ruled that area. Burhanpur was part of them. The actual capital was in Talnair on the Tapati river. Itself was in Tapati river, and the Khandesh is called Khandesh Sultans, Faruqi dynasty. The important districts in Khandesh today in Maharashtra are Dhulia and Jalgaon, and also Nandurbar, that was previously part of Dhulia. The collapse of Mughal imperialism by the rising Maratha nationalism, Maratha Empire, and who subsequently succumbed to British imperialism after the Third Maratha War or Anglo-Maratha War. That region which was under Marathas, Pentarchy, 5 people ruled it. Peshwa was their head. Peshwa Bajirao II surrendered that area to British East India Company. They constituted that area Narbada territories, constituting Khandwa, that is Nimar, Hoshangabad, Jabalpur, Hoshangabad and Balghat and Chindwara and so on. This is historically in the Nimad region of central India, central provinces, former. That is also called Nimad region. The important districts are Khandwa and Khargon. They are called East Nimar and West Nimar. The predominant languages spoken in the region are Nimadi, also called Nimar. That is a branch of Hindi and closely related to its northern dialect Malvi, spoken in the Malwa region of central provinces Madhya Pradesh, Ujjain, Indore, Dhar, Devas, Ratlam and so on. Also that area speaks local language Korku and also Hindustani or Urdu. Hindi is widely used because it is the state's official language, and historically Bili and Gondi is also spoken. It is a transition zone, so Marathi is also widely spoken and understood. That is the overall bird's eye view of Burhanpur districts, and we look at in more detail now. There are round about 310 or 20 districts or so when the British left India. Now due to increase in population and administrative pressures, almost doubled. There are 640 districts. Wikipedia lists around about 2020 and so on. Here I have highlighted the historic Khandwa district, to which Burhanpur was a southern part of Tehsil. And so I shown in a different color. I am showing the surrounding regions also. You have a context. We are in this is the Maharashtra region. This is called Maharashtra region's Khandesh territory. That is Dhulia Jalgaon. This is Nandurbar. River Tapti flows here. This is the perfect plain south of Satpura mountains, north of. We can see that is the here Burhanpur district. Yeah, I have not covered that much so that I do not want to lose you. The like cluttering here, we want to see how the topography is. See, you can see the plains there. And the northern western part is Khargon district. This is Nimar region, remember? This is eastern part of Nimar, that Khandwa and Burhanpur. Western part of Nimar is Nimad, Khargon and Barwani. During the British time, this was a princely state of Barwani, that is West Nimar. And there was a princely state of Dar and princely state of Devas, and this is Indur, princely state of Indur, ruled by Maratha ruler Holkar, and so on. And the east, in the Sagar Narbada territory, we have this is the East Nimad district, this is Hoshangabad district, and Narsimhapur district, and Betul district, and Chindwara district. The Sioni and Mandla and Jabalpur, Sagar, Damo belong to the Jabalpur division of the central provinces. These belong to the Narmada, or at the time they called it Narbuda division of the central provinces. And southern part, you have seen the Khandesh region, historically ruled by Muslim Nawabs Faruqis at Thalner, the capital, on Tapati river. And Burhanpur was in their control at that time. So historically, it is a Khandeshi territory. And this is the greater Vidarbha region. Western part of Vidarbha region is called Berar region. During the later part, it was under the control of Nizams of Hyderabad, who ruled from Aurangabad, later from Hyderabad. Asaf Jah I Nizam I was its founder in 1724. the district of Buldana. This is Ajanta range will be somewhere here. The north part is Buldana. Ajanta range will northern part is Buldana, Akola, Washim, your Satpura range, and Wardha river goes here, and this is Wardha district. This is Wardha district, Amravati, and Yavatmal districts, and so on. So that is the political geography. You see the landscape, you can see this is the Tapati valley. This region, Tapati east, this is, we are in Burhanpur, Khandwa. Burhanpur here, Khandwa here. The eastern part in Maharashtra is the Melghat region. This entire region is Satpura. Satpura region mountains get certain local name. In the Amravati district, it is called Melghat. This is also taluk called Melghat. In the western part, it is called Asirgar mountains. Further west, it is called Akrani mountains bordering Gujarat region. That is where the Narmada Gaj happens. It is almost at the terminal end, very close to northern part of Sahyadri mountain. Akrani mountains, Asirgar mountains on the west of Burhanpur, Khandwa, Melghat region of Satpura mountains on the east, Betul plateau, Chindwara plateau, and Sioni lowland, and Maikala range, and so on. So here what I have shown is the historic British built a railway line that went to the Burhanpur. The first, when the Muslims established their Islamic imperialism in Delhi after Battle of Tarain by defeating, killing Maharaja Prithviraj Chauhan at Tharoi, Thaneshwar or Kaital or Kurukshetra, northern part of today's Haryana, they established their kingdom in Delhi. The rulers are slaves of Ghaznavis, called slave dynasty, Turkic dynasty. After that, the dynasty was overthrown and Khiljis came into rule. That is round about 1300. Alauddin Khilji, who was ruling this area in Uttar Pradesh, found that there is a very wealthy kingdom of Maratha Yadavs at Yadava dynasty, made a secret attack and attacked that kingdom, carried lot of loot and went away, and reduced that kingdom as a vassal subordinate. That was the first. He broke through Burhanpur Pass. Burhanpur Pass is the historic gateway in the medieval time, because where the river Tapati breaks, cuts the mighty Satpura mountains. Burhanpur Pass. North of Burhanpur Pass, here the Narmada river, near Omkareshwar, there is a place called Handia. That's not far away from today's Hoshangabad and Itarsi, from where the people used to go from South India, Burhanpur Pass, Handia Ghat, and go to Vidusha or Bilsa to Indraprastha. That was the golden time. Later, the Tughlaqs replaced the Khiljis. Muhammad bin Tughlaq permanently established a kingdom in Deccan. That is onset of Islamic imperialism by swordsman Muhammad bin Tughlaq. And he moved his capital from Delhi to Devagiri itself. He found so much wealth in that city, he called it Daulatabad. Daulat means Persian Arabic word meaning lot of wealth or gold. Bad is again the Islamic converts name for city. So they don't give the native names like that's why Islam works. Daulatabad. Once the swordsmen established their empire there, and later it was gone in the control of Bahmanis. Bahman Shah, who was himself as a Turkic and Persian, rebelled against him, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, when he was in Sindh fighting a rebellion, and he became independent, and Devagiri. Lot of that was around about 1330s, 1340 AD. Lot of salesmen, they found there is a lot of opportunities for conversion and preaching, plenty of the land. They moved with Tughlaq to Devagiri, Daulatabad. There was a salesman for there religion called Nizamuddin Alia. If you go in a train from South India, first train before getting Delhi, I remember is Nizamuddin station. There is also his mosques and all those things, his funerary architecture buildings there. So, Nizamuddin Alia was a contemporary of Tughlaq and Khilji dynasties, Amir Khusro's contemporary, around about 1930s or so. He died. One of his disciples, Burhanuddin, as a salesman of this religion, conversion-based ideology, moved with South along with Tughlaq. He on his name, this city was built few years later on Tapti River and became very important because that region from 1300s to nearly 400 years or so, 1750s, was under Muslims' control. So it became especially an important outpost for North Indian Islamic imperialism to go to South India. And that city was built and named based upon the name of Burhanuddin, who died in Daulatabad region 1344. One of his disciples, Jainuddin Shirazi, asked the local ruler Farooqis. Remember, the south, Daulatabad, Bahmanis overthrow the Tughlaqs. In that Khandesh region, Faruqi dynasty, the local rulers declared independence. They have their own dynasty, and they built a city on the banks of Tapti, guarding the pass, and named him after Burhanuddin, which was the prominent Islamic saint come salesman of that religion. For the request of his disciple, Nizamuddin Alia, his disciple Burhanuddin, who died in 1344. At that time, lot of Muslim dynasties established in South India, Bahmanis. At the same time, Vijayanagara Empire was also established, so that's critical. And Ziauddin Shirazi, Farooq dynasty. We talked about the Khandesh. Then, Khandesh was first conquered by Akbar round about close to 1600, and Berar and Bahmani splintered kingdoms. Berar was also annexed, and Burhanpur came under his control. The Burhanpur. And Shah Jahan, Jahangir, who succeeded him, lived a couple of years in Burhanpur itself. Lot of Islamic monuments, funerary monuments, means Islam, which is a zero spirituality, as per the yogic perspective of Mahayogi Sri Ram Swarup, and intellectual Kshatriya of modern times, Sitaram Goyal, builds only funerary architectures like Taj Mahal, just big buildings with expensive stones and marbles on the bodies of the dead people, and the standard Islamic cupolas and domes and so on, minars. That is Burhanpur. Marathas, then after Shah Jahan, after Jahangir, Shah Jahan came, and he also lived a couple of years in Burhanpur town. The important thing is, in 1630, Shah Jahan's wife, Anjuman Banu Begum, also called alias Mumtaz Mahal, died in Burhanpur, giving the last child. That child called Gauharara Begum. So Shah Jahan with Mumtaz Mahal has 7 children. Dara Shuko, then Shuja, then Aurangzeb, then Murad Baksh, and girl Jaharara Begum, then Roshanara Begum, finally Gauharara Begum. Gauharara Begum with the last, I think 9th child, a couple of them passed away, survived. She survived after mother's birth. At that time, Mumtaz Mahal was buried there in the Burhanpur. Later, Shah Jahan returned back to Delhi and Agra. Her body was exhumed from Burhanpur, Khandwa district, and carried, and it was reburied on the banks of river Yamuna in front of the Agra fort. A very big funerary architecture was built. A lot of alienated Hindus start marketing it. Now in India, you see, that's the major attraction. They sold it because these people alienated coming from Mekalism never went to Brihadishwara temple or Hoysala architecture and Ajanta temple. They looked at it. Even they looked, it was very faint in their mind. So all they propagated was Islamic funerary architecture as per the analysis or critique of Voice of India think tank, Mahayogi Sri Ram Swarup and Rajesh Sitaram Goyal. Okay. Then Burhanpur came under Mughal control. Aurangzeb spent a couple of years here. When Aurangzeb invaded South India, 1680, after warring with the Rajput rulers, he made a treaty, Rajasamund, and he wanted to totally and annex the Maratha kingdom. After death of Shivaji, his son Shambhuji succeeded. He brought vast army. Few couple of months he stayed in Burhanpur. From Burhanpur, it is close to Aurangabad. Then he stayed in Aurangabad, and for 25 years he waged the war. That's a different story. So we go back to our Burhanpur history and geography. Then what happened after the collapse? Marathas became very prominent when Aurangzeb died in 1707, and they waged war. The first one ruler called Scindia, he attacked Burhanpur. First time Marathas attacked, Scindia attacked Burhanpur in 1705. And that was the major attack, and later Peshwa's rule, Bajirao attacked this region, and finally when Nizam was ruling that area, finally a treaty was made between Nizam, and this region was given to Marathas. Most of this region, Malwa and Burhanpur and all those areas. And when the British waged the war in the third Mysore war with Peshwa, Bajirao, in 1817, he got defeated and he was pensioned up and sent to Bithur near Kanpur on the bank of river Ganga. He gave all these territories to him, among which Khandwa region was one such, Khandwa and Narmada territories and so on. British constituted Khandwa and Narasimhapur and Hoshangabad, Betul, and all those regions we saw. Indian Narmada territory, later Peshwa also gave at the same time Sagar, Demo, Jabalpur, Mandla and Sioni, and defeating the Maharaja, Bhonsle Maharajas of Nagpur. When they died, the Nagpur area was annexed. Central provinces was built, made, and that region formed the part of central provinces. And Khandwa district was the important district, and when the central provinces finally dismembered and designated as a Madhya Pradesh, that region gone to Madhya Pradesh. It is a transitory zone between the Marathi cultures of Khandesh and Beran and Vidarbha and northern Hindi speaking belt. That's why the Marathi is spoken. Historically, it was a part of Marathi kingdom or Marathi resident kingdom, Faruqi dynasties for centuries. So Burhanpur was a part of Khandesh. It was the entry point for Deccan on the Tapati river, where the Tapati river cuts the mighty Satpura mountains, east side Gavilgar, west side Asirgar. Near Burhanpur, like 10-15 kilometers, historic Asirgar fort is there. That was the main fort for a lot of years, and later after British annexed that, got the fort, and its importance declined with modern warfare. So the Marathi and Hindi, the local region Nimadi, local language, dialect of Hindi, Nimadi or Nimar, and Malvi and Urdu or Hindustani, and Bili and Gondi, and a lot of so many languages are also spoken in the district. So Burhanpur Khandwa, especially Burhanpur, is a transitory district of central India and Madhya Pradesh. You can see the fascinating view of the district here. I didn't clutter that much, little indication. You can see these are the Satpura mountains, this is Gavilgar range or Melghat region, this is Ashirgar mountains, these are Akrani mountains, this is the Betul plateau, the Narmada trough here, the northern part of Khandwa district has a border with Narmada river. Southern part of Khandwa district cuts through, is a border with Tapati and also goes beyond Tapati also. It includes the mountainous region. From North India, people will cross Narmada river at Khandwa near Omkareshwar, that is Hoshangabad, Itarsi area, then enter into the Narmada valley, into the Khandwa region, and at Burhanpur, they pass through the pass in Satpura, enter into the Khandesh territory of Dhulia, Jalgaon. Built a railway line from Bombay to Delhi in this region and Bombay to Calcutta or Howrah. This is how I have marked the railway line grew and passed at that time. You have Bombay somewhere, goes to the Talghat, enters near Nasik Road and Manmad. You go to Jalgaon. In the Jalgaon district, a few kilometers east, there is a place called Bhusawal. It's a major junction. From Bhusawal, the train leaves to Burhanpur, naturally. Then Khandwa. Khandwa is again a major junction. From Khandwa, the train can go to Itarsi near Hoshangabad, Narsimhapur and Jabalpur, or it can take the detour, climb the North Vindhya mountains and Mo and Dhar and Indur and Ujjain to Ajmer and so on. As the eastern part from Khandwa junction, from Itarsi junction, the train can bifurcate into cross the Narmada, the Vindhya mountains, enter into Bhopal, then Bilsha and Vidusha, Bina Katwa in the Guna district, then enters into Jhansi and goes to Gwalior on the west side of Yamuna river, Agra, and goes to Nizamuddin and Delhi and so on. On the east side of Itarsi, it will go to Jabalpur. That was one of the 4 divisions of central provinces: Jabalpur division, Narmada division, Chhattisgarh division, and Nagpur division. Later they added the Berar division. That's a different story. From Jabalpur is also a junction. From there a train goes to the Sioni. From Jabalpur, there is a major junction further east. At that time it was in Jabalpur district, now called Katni, Murwar Katni. This is one of the major junction during the British time. From Katni, the train can go to Damo and Sagar, Bina, Katwa. That goes to the Jhansi, and from here it continues to go to the western side, Guna and so on. Eastern side of Katni, the train bifurcates. It goes to Satna and goes to Allahabad. Old railway line goes from Katni to Satna to Allahabad and Varanasi, Mughal Sarai, Aurangabad, and all those regions to Howrah finally. Howrah is a twin city across river Hooghly, east side Calcutta, west side Howrah. Later British built one more railway line. Remember, from Bhusawal, other railway line goes to Amravati, Akola, Nagpur to Chhattisgarh, Raipur, finally Chakdarpur, that is essentially the Tata Nagar, to Kharagpur to Howrah. Before that was built, the standard railway line from Mumbai, Bombay to Howrah went through Jalgaon, Bhusawal and Burhanpur, Jabalpur, Katni, Allahabad and this region. And there is Katni, one more railway line goes to Bilibari and Garwa, Aurangabad and so on. So I have shown this to show how important Burhanpur was at that time, even British time, to build a very easy railway line for transiting from Bombay Presidency to United Provinces, that is Allahabad, to Bengal Presidency. So this gives a very panoramic view of that. So let's look at the actual map so that you will appreciate the importance of Burhanpur. So here, this is the Burhanpur. I have shown here Burhanpur, part of Khandwa. You see this is the Burhanpur. That is Handia, the Handia near Khadwa, and this is near Omkareshwar. This is Hoshangabad, Omkareshwar, Handia. You can see Handia near Khadwa. So we have Jalgaon, Dulia, Busawal, Burhanpur. This is the Melghat region, you can see, and this the Asirgar will be somewhere here near Burhanpur. Talner will be near somewhere here near Shirpur, the historic capital Talner of the Faruqi Muslim dynasty, and this is Akrani Hills here, and we are in Burhanpur here, and the Itarsi, the train go to Narsimhapur, Jabalpur, and Murwar, Katni here, and the train goes to Satna, to Allahabad, Prayag, Tirthraj, and Benaras and Mughal Sarai, and Delhi and Aurangabad, and so on. That is one view, and other view we can see a bit different perspective of the Burhanpur region, Burhanpur Pass. You have Jabalpur here, and you have Jalgaon, Burhanpur. You can see the mountains here, the Melghat region, and Balghat, the Betul region here, Jabalpur, and all those regions. And here you can also see a different perspective. And this is Narmada river is dammed Indira Sagar, and this is the Khandwa, and this is the Burhanpur. You can see the beautiful low-lying area. This is the Asirgar area, and this is the Melghat region. This is the Melghat region, that is the Akkot, Amravati will be somewhere here, and Chikalda, the Melghat, Satpura regions, and the Betul plateau is here, and the Narmada river, and is continue the Hoshangabad, and you get Jabalpur, and the Narmada Valley at Jabalpur. After Narmada Valley, you have a Narmada trough. This is the Son part trough, Son river trough, almost but very narrow trough or a valley. Murwara Katni, and you can see Satna, and this is Chitrakoot Dam in Banda district, and goes to train at Prayag, and Mughal Sarai, Varanasi, and Delhi, and Aurangabad. This is Sonpar river here. It goes to Gaya, and finally go to Dhanbad and Burdwan district, and finally goes to Howrah. That is other side of river Hooghly. So, in a sense, today we looked at a very important district of South Asia, India, Bharat, that is Burhanpur. I just added the name Burhanpur. We covered broadly the Burhanpur and Khandwa district, historic Khandwa Dahan during the Pandava times, where Arjun has set this forest on fire to get certain ocean type of things to cure the diseases or ailment of Indra. That's how the name Khandwa comes from. Southern part is Burhanpur. This is the unique district that intersects, borders Narmada river, Narmada trough, and Sapti river. So it's a Narmada river here, Tapti river here. So it borders almost Malwa region and the Berar region in the south, and you can see it is Buldana, Akola border, and also Khandesh territory, a transitory district where Hindi-speaking northern part coincides with the Marathi-speaking southern part, Marathi Hindi. Long time it was ruled by Muslims, so lot of Islamic monuments are there, and Mughal empress and wife of Shah Jahan, Mumtaz Mahal, died there and buried for a couple of months. Later her body exhumed and moved to Agra and buried under Taj Mahal later, and Shah Jahan and Akbar, Jahangir, Aurangzeb, all those people lived there, and the city and the banks guarding the pass was built during the Faruqi dynasties during the mid of the 1300s, and we have seen that beautiful district here, how the British built the railway line that goes through the Burhanpur, Khandwa, Hoshangabad, Itarsi, Jabalpur, Katni to from there to Allahabad, Prayag, Triveni, Sangam and so on. In a sense, today we covered Burhanpur district, Khandwa district, gateway to Deccan on the Tapti river. We talked about King Asha Ahir, Ashirgarh Fort, Islamic imperialism, done in South India, south of Burhanpur Pass, is prominent swordsmen, Khilji rulers and Tughlaq rulers, prominent salesmen who followed them to Deccan, South India, Nizamuddin alias disciples Burhanuddin and Jainuddin and so on. It was historically governed by Yadava rulers, later from Fort Devagiri on the Ajanta range in the Aurangabad district. Later the name was changed to Daulatabad, made a historic major center, fierce capital for Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Later it was taken over by the Bahmanis. They ruled from there for a couple of years, and Burhanpur was their major entry point, preventing the northern Tughlaq army or northern Musalman invaders coming for southern Musalmans or Deccani Bahmanis. And the Mughals controlled it, Marathas wrested from them, and from Marathas British Arthur Wellesley, the Duke of Wellington, the victor of Battle of Waterloo against Napoleon Bonaparte in 1813. He conquered Asigarh Fort for his brother, the Governor General of British East India Company, Richard Wellesley. That region is broadly called Nimad region or Nimar region, and Nimadi, a dialect of Western Hindi, is spoken. It also comes historic Khandwa and Khargone. Khandwa is East Nimar, Khargone is West Nimar, and it was included after the secession or annexation of the Peshwa Bajirao's territory in the Narmada territories of central provinces. The languages spoken Nimadi, Nimadi Hindi, Marathi, Korku, Urdu, Hindustani, Bili, Gondi, a northern dialect of Malvi is also heard. That is in brief about our fascinating journey looking at the districts of Bharat. We looked at the district of Central South Asia, former central provinces and Berar, now called Madhya Pradesh, a Burhanpur Khandwa district. This is your facilitator REddy. Thanks as usual for your compliments, comments and suggestions and your subscriptions and encouraging our channel. We will continue our fascinating wanderings throughout Bharat and Deccan, south of Karakoram mountains. And Dhanyavad. See you later.